Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this channel. My name is Christiana Davidson. You're so welcome here, whether it's your first time or you're returning, coming back for more. And as you may or may not know, I am a specialist, a psychotherapist in narcissistic family systems. And it's my great pleasure to do this work, to make these videos, to I'm in the process of writing a book, and today's topic is really the crux of what my book's going to be about. So you saw it first here, or heard it first here, rather. Um, I've got a bit of a sty in my eye at the moment, so I haven't got any makeup on today, but it's good for me to show up authentically. Right. So, the title for today is Narcissistic Abuse, whether that's by a parent or in a relationship, causes you to become blind to the truth. Why it's not a negative core belief that is the problem. So, to start us off, many of you will know that ancient hymn, Amazing Grace. It's one of my favorites. I learned it growing up as a child. And you know, one of the key phrases in it is, I once was lost, but now I'm found, was blind, but now I see. And to me, and I'm sure for you too, if you're healing from having a narcissistic parent or partner, you will know what I'm referring to here. In a nutshell, that's what recovery from narcissistic abuse is all about, is becoming blind no more, is seeing clearly. So, what do I mean by being blind? And what do I mean about coming to see? Why is this so important for our freedom at the start, but also our continued freedom from narcissistic abuse in the present? And it's so crucial, this. So that's what's in this video today. And just before we dive straight in, if I can ask you to subscribe if you haven't already, please like the video. It really helps to get this information out there. It's a little bit different maybe than what so many others are sharing, and doing so very well too. Okay, so let's get to where the blindness began. When did your blindness first begin? And how it's perpetuated into your life in the present. A narcissistic mother, in particular, causes blindness in her child through the trauma bond. Her baby is born and it gives her supply. I mean, that's why she had it. And what is supply? Well, a supply is attention, admiration, and dependence. You know, loyal dependence. And of course, this is naturally the case for the first couple of years of the baby's life until it gets to about maybe 2, 3. But then the infant turns into a toddler and starts to differentiate from mum and become a bit more of a handful, less cooperative, less adoring of her, sometimes even saying no. The narcissistic mother sees this as a personal affront. How dare the child be a handful and not just be adoring of her? The child is a hindrance to her experience of being the good mother that she is. And so what I've described there is the love bomb phase of early infancy, this kind of mutual mirroring, adoration, all of that, followed by the discard. We have the trauma bond set up. The child disappoints the mother at some point because her fantasy image of the mother-child relationship is a fantasy of what this child is going to do for her, ends. It cannot be reality because it's a fantasy. And at some point, the child will then be blamed for not living up to this fantasy. Of the mother she could have been had the child been more cooperative. The child has disappointed her, in other words. And that fantasy relationship is over. And to be honest, there's no going back. There's no going back to those early days of love bombing, of shared adoration. The child has matured too much. Now he has eyes of his own through which to see her and the world. And sometimes his focus is not on her anymore. His eyes are not seeking her out. And that's a rejection. There is a subconscious discard as the narcissistic mother's needs for full attention, adoration, servitude, and control are not being met fully in the child anymore, as they once were. And she's secretly furious. There's a rage about this within her. And I think the child picks up on this subconsciously too. And often the mother decides to have another child at this point, or to try to ensure dependency by not allowing the self-differentiation to continue. And how does she do this? Well, by shaming, by guilting the child for acts of self-expression, or not putting her first, or not adoring her, or agreeing with her views, or doing what she says without question, for having needs of your own, for not being there for her in arguments, for not taking her side instantly, for even adoring or spending time with the other parent. And the golden child responds to this with trying to please her forever, by trying to get back to that early infancy time of being pleasing. That's the golden child, responsible for maintaining her supply. The scapegoat, on the other hand, responds with expressing the rejection, the dysfunction, the truth, to be honest, that the children are not wanted. So what we've just spoken about here is the blinding process. Those early days of dependence, of conforming in early infancy, of attention, adoration, admiration, make the child feel that it is loved and wanted. The child, and this is important, takes on the belief that my mother loves me and that she wants me. And so that becomes the core belief. Not a negative belief, it's actually a core positive belief that my mother loves me and wants me because of those early days of infancy. But here's the thing, that is not the truth. This is the hard thing, it's a lie. That positive core belief is a lie. Why? Because the narcissistic mother doesn't want you. She wants a fantasy version of herself and you that supports that. that is blissful, where she is adored and loved unconditionally by you, her extension. She doesn't want or love you when you stop being consistent, controllable supply. So in other words, once you stop being the source of her bliss, her blissful fantasy, she actually doesn't love you. She loves what you can do for her, how you can uphold her fantasy good mother image. And she wants you to stay in and participate in her fantasy world. And the way you do this, you have to be blind. So, when at some point the child does not live up to her fantasy image, then the child is a disappointment and will be rejected in overt and covert ways, often over time. And subconsciously, I think the child feels this disappointment somehow. It believes it's gone from being loved by mum and wanted to not being loved and wanted because it's done something to cause that it's the disappointment. But despite the rejections, despite the constant shamings, guiltings, signs of displeasure, signs of not wanting to care for you, of not wanting to be a mother, of not being loved, of being a burden to her or not being really cared for, the lingering core belief in the child is that my mother loves me and she wants me, and that stays there in the core. And it causes the child to discount any abuse, to become blind to abuse. The child goes blind, in other words, and can only see the mother through its infant eyes, when it was adored and wanted, when you were in that mutual adoration. And it doesn't matter the amount of abuse or how severe or, it does not matter. The child believes it is loved and wanted. But the truth is, it is not. And this, my friends, is the blindness we all have to come out of. It is self-gaslighting that we were loved. No, we were only loved for what you could provide, not for being you. And that core belief that you use to gaslight yourself but my mum loved me and she wanted me. What's wrong with me picking up all these different messages? The doubt that core belief that is in you brings needs to be debunked, and it's the hardest thing to face for many. So now, how does this play out? Well, in adulthood, this is how we have been trained to be in relationships. And I should just say here, if it's not a narcissistic mother you have, and it's a narcissistic father, often what happens is the mother trains you to become blind to the father's abuses. She denies it, she sweeps them under a rug, and it causes you to doubt yourself, and to also become blind to hold the whole family together. So it's slightly different, but still requires blindness nonetheless. So in adulthood, this is how we come to be in relationships. We are very often blind to disrespect. We don't pick up on it. We become blind to people rejecting us. We're not aware. It's like it happens, but we don't pick up on it. We're blind to it. We don't see the abuse. We don't see the bullying, the subtle bullying that's going on sometimes. So our ego comes in saying, don't be silly. They do like you. They do want you. They do love you. Why are you so sensitive? And we end up not seeing red flags, as another video I did recently said. But we do see them at the same time. We're just blind. We see them, but we don't see. You look, but you don't see. I always remember that line from The Karate Kid, the original one. Daniel-san, you look, but you don't see. Here's a bit of an example of this because it's, might be hard to get your thoughts around. So I have a client who has a friend who she's been thinking is very, very highly narcissistic in a covert way. And this friend has, given her the silent treatment recently. And my friend's been thinking, should I reach out? Shouldn't I? She's held back from doing that. And so she hasn't seen this friend for maybe 3 weeks. It's been an awfully long time. It's been very difficult for my client. And she happened to be out the other day walking along, and this covert narcissistic friend was driving along. And it was a shock for both of them, actually, to see each other. But this covert narcissistic friend, drove past and waved and smiled as she went past, and my client waved and smiled as she in return. And that was it. So my client was sharing this with me in the session, and she said, "Well, isn't that lovely? She was really friendly, and it seems all right now." But the thing that my client was forgetting was that this person didn't slow down. It wasn't a busy road. There wasn't any traffic anywhere. She could have just pulled down, said hello, how are you? No, didn't slow down at all, just a hi, and sped off. So there we have an example of this being blind to the rejection that's actually happening here. And as difficult as it is, we need to start picking up on these things because we're trained not to. So we must now face the traumas of our past by calling out the truth that we didn't want to see back then. And this links to that red flag video I did recently. I'll put a link to it here. We must stop denying it. We almost have to get to the point where we say, okay, under all these feelings that I have trapped in these traumatic memories, there's the truth that I don't want to see. And often it's that, okay, actually, Mum's showing signs here that she doesn't love me. Actually, Dad's showing signs here that I was a burden on him, that he didn't want to spend time with me. That is the truth. And the truth is that I wasn't good enough for my mother. I didn't want to see it, but that's true. I wasn't. I couldn't live up to her fantasy. So these truths that we often hide behind feelings need to come out because they're the ones that trigger the feelings. And, this is the first step to acknowledge this. And it's this crucial step, actually, that a lot of therapists who are well-meaning, well-trained, etc., doing a great job otherwise. This is the difficulty when you don't have somebody who is specialist narcissistic abuse, because what can often happen is they'll suggest that, well, yes, you're feeling rejected, but maybe Mum was just tired. Maybe she just had a lot on her plate, and it's not you, it's not personal. You're misinterpreting it. And that only serves to cause further gaslighting, further denial of the truth, and it sets you up to deny red flags in present relationships too. It's not a misinterpretation when you come from a narcissistic family system. It's not. And that is the truth, the hard truth we all have to face. When you have a narcissistic parent, it's not a misinterpretation. No, it's the truth that lies hidden behind that positive core belief that mummy loves me and wants me. And that is the lie. I hope this was helpful, everyone. Please leave your comments. Tell me your thoughts about this. It is my own thinking on this. This is not something I've gleaned from anywhere else, only in my own work with clients and in my own personal journey. So do let me know, and I hope it was helpful. And if you'd like to work with me, well, please sign up, book in for a free consultation. Let's get you started. I use psychotherapy and hypnotherapy. And one thing's for sure, at least I hope that you have a specialist therapist in me if that's what you're seeking. And I know in my own journey, that's been crucial. Take care, everybody, and see you all again very soon. Bye now.